So we know that anime shows are a lot of work. It's a very time-consuming process when trying to come up with an engaging story, characters, manga arcs, and resolutions. Animes are usually drawn on paper first, with various sketches and models being first developed and later improved or discarded. Add to that the cost of animation and production to bring these amazing hand-drawn visuals to our screen, and you can start to understand that producing anime shows is very expensive. In today's video, we're going to look at some of the most cost-intensive anime shows in recent memory, so we can better appreciate what this art medium has offered us. As usual, take a few seconds to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share the video with your peeps. Let's begin. Number 20. Cowboy Bebop. As a cult classic and a fan favorite for many, Cowboy Bebop boasts of having one of the slickest animation styles you can find, with its portrayal of outer space and the surrounding environments that Spike finds himself exploring. It's quite the achievement seeing what the producers have managed to come up with, given the limited funds they had when the show aired. With a budget of $65,000 per episode, Cowboy Bebop never disappoints when it comes to offering eye-popping visuals and attention to detail, very far ahead of its time. Number 19. 7 Deadly Sins. Meliodas' rebellion against his Demon King father would never be the same if it weren't for the great animation style that the show prides itself on. The 7 Deadly Sins includes a lot of unique character drawings, such as the 7 sins themselves. They're all giving great characteristics and art styles that complements the themes and the stories they're involved in. Also, the show's epic battles require a bit of CGI and expensive lighting effects, plus the cool areas and kingdoms that Meliodas finds himself exploring, are all things that add up to the final budget. Overall, each episode costs $70,000 to produce and animate. Number 18. Demon Slayer. The second season was a true masterpiece when it came to presenting historic anime battles. The fight against the two High Moons was a sight for sore eyes, and it must have been quite expensive to produce. However, we're going to stick to what we know. Season 1 was no small feat either. It had 25 episodes that saw Tanjiro and his friends fighting different demons in different places, all over what resembles an old-school Japan. The amount of work that went into animating each individual encounter with the demons was just off the charts. Demon Slayer's Season 1 budget is for sure at least $80,000 per episode. Number 17. Inuyasha. Another cult classic that gets overlooked quite often when discussing animes in the early 20s. Inuyasha gives us a look into samurai warriors in Japan, martial arts training, and the exploits of a girl trying to stop the main protagonist from acquiring a certain jewel. The story might not be for everyone, but the animation style certainly is. Inuyasha earned a big claim in its heyday, due to how much money was poured into making it look very detailed, with the right mix of gory episodes and filler ones. The show's budget sits at $85,000 per episode, and that's a lot of money for a show from the 20s. Number 16. Full Metal Alchemist. Presenting a Victorianistic setting that has half humans, half robots, with the ability to use magic at a whim. Full Metal Alchemist is a collection of many great elements strewn together by the money that the Bone Studio was able to provide. We never get tired of seeing Edward and Alphonse Elric chasing after the Philosopher's Stone in the original 2003 anime adaptation. Some of the battles that these two find themselves in are downright awesome. This includes fighting Dante, the main antagonist, and a guy with a crazy command of alchemy. In fact, the show's production and animations are so diverse that there's a little bit of everything here. You got well-animated fights, magical spells that are designed to stick in your mind forever, crazy explosions, and much more. Each individual episode costs $90,000 to produce. Number 15. Parasite: The Maxim. This show has been a real game changer when talking about animes that include a story other than the usual shonen stuff we got used to. Parasite has a great story that makes us question humanity's moral actions and rationalization system. The story follows the invasion of bacteria-like creatures that are able to infect humans and take control over their bodies. It soon follows that these parasites themselves have clashing ideologies and plans, and we get to see how sides form, with different characters representing the struggle that humans and parasites undergo. So this show is very well directed and animated. It's got those alien transformations that give the show its horror vibes, and there's a ton of visual content being thrown at us as we see more of Japan. The production of each episode costs $100,000. Number 14. Naruto Shippuden. Shinobis are always fun to watch, but what happens when you mix shinobis and crazy animation styles to produce over 500 episodes of glorious TV? You get Naruto Shippuden. Naruto himself is a very well-designed character. He's got those marks on his face, his trademark orange clothes, and a whole lot of ninja techniques that we never get tired of seeing. The show's producers have done a lot of work to animate every encounter to perfection. The Shinobi Wars are all very well done. Madara, Itachi, Obito, Sasuke, Kakashi, and many others are all very memorable because of the high amount of attention that went into designing them. Overall, Naruto's episodes are expensive. Each one had a budget of $110,000. Number 13. Berserk. So, here we're talking about the 2016 and 2017 Season 2 adaptation. Sure, everyone likes the 1997 Season 1 animation style much better, but the cost in production is just night and day. There's a whole lot of CGI happening whenever Guts is swinging his sword, or when naked ladies are running around with their boobs jumping all over the place. It gets tiring watching the unnecessary CGI after a while, but at the same time, it has its charm. The kind of money needed to include those effects for 25 episodes is pretty high. Berserk's second season has a $120,000 production cost per episode. Number 12. Black Clover. Asa has some sick abs. The anime studio makes sure that you see those fine muscles in every episode, and the same applies to everything else in Black Clover. It's a show that has humans and demons fighting for the sake of dominance. It's also a fantastic way to see firsthand what it is like to have the underworld and the creators in it brought to life before our eyes. There's a lot of focus on animating big swords, like the one Asa wields, and magical spell books that look impressive as hell. In essence, the show's creator have no problem pouring $140,000 into producing each episode. Number 11. Jujutsu Kaisen. One of the new decade top animes, Jujutsu Kaisen is a new generation shonen anime that spares no dollars when it comes to showcasing sick animation styles. Each character in the show has a life of its own. Yuji's character is designed superbly, with his pink hair, Jujutsu sorcerer outfit, and black flash technique all animated to a very high level. Then we have Gojo Satoru and his endless powers. Gojo's animation are also pretty darn expensive since he is able to do so many things. The show also gives a lot of focus into making its anime fights as jaw-dropping as hell. Jujutsu Kaisen is definitely a lot of money to produce, sitting at a budget of $150,000 per episode. Number 10. Steins Gate. Futuristic settings are usually fraught with writer's blocks. Traveling through time serves as a crutch when writers are unable to come up with a good story or sequence of events. This is not the case in Steins Gate. It's a show that includes time travel to discuss a very engaging story that has a little bit of everything. The show's production costs are high because of the changing setting that Okabe finds himself in. It is estimated that each episode costs $153,000 to make. Number 9. Yu-Gi-Oh! As one of the only animes to include battles waged with cards, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has immortalized itself in the anime fandom thanks to the amazing variety of animations it includes. So, we really can't even begin to describe how sick this show is when it comes to production. There's loads of memorable cards that are quite expensive to animate when you think about it, such as the Exodia cards. And then there's the ancient Egypt settings, the dual city events, or Kalok's arc with its hyper-realistic portrayal of Atlantis, and all of our favorite characters like Yugi, Kaiba, and Joey. Yes, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was very demanding production-wise, with each episode costing $154,000. Number 8. Attack on Titan. Yep, it's easy to see why Attack on Titan is so high up there. When you include big-ass titans, large cities that borrow from real-life German architecture, flashy swords, and a piece of gear that allows for quick travel through the world that the show portrays, it's paramount to spend big to make these things. Eren's adventure has left us breathless on more than one occasion, and this was in no small part thanks to the legendary efforts of both MAPPA and WIT Studios. Each episode cost $160,000 to make. Number 7. Dragon Ball Super. Goku's adventures have evolved from the times when he was a simple alien boy with a tail. Now we see Goku going toe-to-toe with the strongest beings in his universe without breaking a sweat. The legendary Saiyan and all the rich cast that the show offers have etched up a place in our hearts for eternity. Again, as with many shows on this list, the slick production has contributed to this success greatly. Goku's story in Dragon Ball Super has each episode costing $180,000 to make. Number 6. Psycho-Pass. Ken Sonomori is a detective ready for anything. Psycho-Pass tells the story of how this young detective goes around a hyper-realistic Japan in search of the criminal mastermind Shogo Makishama. The show makes excellent use of gunfights, dark lighting, flashbacks, and a gritty noir style to keep the fans on the edge of their seats. It would be crazy to call it the most stylish thriller anime that exists, and its production costs speak for themselves. Psycho-Pass's episode cost $180,000 to make. Number 5. Hunter x Hunter. It's no doubt that Gon's first adventure to get the Hunter license is one of the most instantly recognized arcs in all of anime. The layout of the first 21st episodes sets the groundwork for the kind of visual awesomeness that the show explores, and it's very diverse. There's Hisoka's otherworldly character design, the Phantom Troop's stylish members, the layout of Greed Island, and the epic battle between Miriam and Netero. Hell, we can't even begin to imagine what the Dark Continent is going to look like when it's animated at some point. Hunter's production cost of each episode stands at $230,000. Number 4. Mob Psycho 100. Fighting off enemies with powerful telekinesis abilities is cool enough. Add to that the X factor of animating said abilities, and you get a whirlwind of destruction that's very pleasing to the eye. Mob's design in and of itself is simple enough. He's your typical high school students with latent powers waiting to be unleashed. The other designs and animation in the show are also kept simple but still maintain a very high degree of complexity. Of course, makes it expensive to produce, even one episode. So, Mob Psycho's production costs for each episode ends up being $280,000. Number 3. Sword Art Online. When you throw your main characters into a virtual reality MMORPG, you can bet your ass it's going to make a very complicated story. Sword Art Online enjoys a special place among fans for the world it strives to create. The producers of the show have poured a lot of resources into making the virtual reality game anime as detailed as possible. This shows whenever we see Kazuto and Asuna interacting with the players who are forced into the game. Special mention goes to the death scenes. They're very well done and serve a lot of thematic purposes, thanks to their high quality production. So, a single Sword Art Online episode costs $300,000. Number 2. Fate Zero. An epic dark fantasy anime with some very impressive large-scale battle scenes. Fate Zero throws all kinds of special effects at you when you're witnessing one of its major battles, and it's a joy to watch. Magic spells carry a lot of weight because of how they are animated. Each sword slash, punch, quick dodge, counter-attack, and levitation movement is deeply satisfying to watch. This is, again, in big part due to how the studio have gotten around to putting a lot of thought into what kind of animations and production they wanted to see happen. We're able to suspend belief for brief moments, and enjoy how the characters battle their way through the events of the Fourth Holy Grail War, all with the added benefit of seeing this done using a high-quality style of animation. As one of the most expensive shows ever, Fate Zero boasts of an episode budget setting at around $320,000 per episode. Number 1. Death Note. As mind-blowing as it might sound, the Death Note is rumored to have a production value per episode of $1 million. That's an insane number no matter how you think about it, but unfortunately, anime production costs are always kept private, so it's hard to verify that number, especially since Death Note was released in 2007, when $1 million was worth so much more. But overall, Light Story is one where excellent camera angles, lighting effects, CGI, and the combination of the realistic and the supernatural all comes together to form one cohesive whole, with beautiful visuals to keep us glued to our screens. And that's all. Thanks for sticking through all of this, guys. You've been amazing. We hope that today's video was informative for you and has given you insight into what exactly are the things that make anime production costs go through the roof. There's a lot more to be discussed, but we'll get to that in future videos. As always, keep the hype alive by discussing what other expensive anime shows deserve a mention and what others do not. And click the like button, subscribe to our channel for more content, and share the video and the ideas discussed here anywhere you want. Peace out.